Okay, so now we're going to hear from Hugo. Hugo Tagholm is the CEO of Surfers Against Sewage. Without him, we probably wouldn't be here today. I certainly wouldn't have written my book. Lots of things would not have happened without Hugo. He has run Surfers Against Sewage since 2008 and is focused on advocacy for plastic-free coastlines from the beachfront to the front benches of Parliament. The charity mobilises over 75,000 beach clean volunteers annually and works closely with business and government. I think we've seen today that it's pretty influential. It also mobilises a huge amount of goodwill, volunteers, people dedicate their time so willingly for Surfers Against Sewage. And can we just say thank you to all the volunteers from today? Can we just have a round of applause for all the volunteers? We have seen a lot of Surfers Against Sewage campaigns start to come to fruition in a really big way. One of those, which I'm excited about, is the deposit return system for England. And they also lobby Parliament to eliminate single-use plastics, which has also been successful. So, ladies and gentlemen, Hugo.
Well, I don't really know how I follow on from all of those amazing speakers. Thank you, Lucy. Thank you, Lewis. Thank you to all of our amazing speakers today. I started here in 2008, and it was a really different place. It was a pretty gritty little industrial estate. There weren't many people around. I came from central London from a career in sort of charities, and I landed up in this office here, which was somewhat in a state of disrepair. And my closest neighbour was a guy who lived in the field just there called Dennis, who lived in a shack. He had 6 Dobermans. And he used to come in for a meeting first thing in the morning with 2 cans of special brew to try and get some of my time. Little did I think back then that the future King of England would be coming to see us to talk about stopping plastic pollution. I'd like to say a massive thank you to Team SAS for all of the massive work they've done behind the scenes to bring today together. They've been working particularly tirelessly over the last few days. I'd like to highlight Dom, who's just there. He was working all weekend sweeping in here. And Harry, I don't know where Harry is. Hands up, Harry. Harry there. Thank you very much. They've done something which we so often have to do at Surfers Against Sewage to talk about protecting the oceans, which is they've sacrificed their own time in the ocean to actually try and progress the issues that we work on. So they really are heroes, and I'm so honoured to be surrounded by such a great team at Surfers Against Sewage. I'd also like to thank all of you for being here today and helping Cornwall, the country and the world drive towards a more sustainable future for our oceans. Together we really are reinventing and redefining society's relationship with plastic from city to sea. And I'm really thrilled at the progress we've made since we first hosted His Royal Highness for the Ocean Plastics Awareness Day in 2015. We've seen a dramatic acceleration and step change on the issue since then. This was before the Blue Planet. Indeed, we could say that that was one of the most pivotal moments on plastic. This was before the national media gave almost daily headlines to single-use plastics. Since then, we've seen not only a huge increase in volunteering numbers tackling plastic pollution around our coastline, which is the living heartbeat of this issue, but even more importantly, we've seen the issue reach the top table of industry and government around the world, with new legislation and innovation already slowing the flow of plastic getting into our oceans. But it's true to say we need to do much, much more. We can't afford to think that the job is anywhere near done, and so we need to continue redoubling our effort. It's an exciting time where cross-sectorial innovation and collaboration can further drive these solutions that we need to protect our oceans, our environment, and our cities from plastic pollution. As you might know, and as a lot of you might have heard me say, our supporters are perhaps one of the most authentic voices of the ocean in the country, probably due to their passionate, visceral connection with the sea and our beaches. So close is this connection with the ocean that I've often heard them described as the canary in the coal mine of the issues we work on, marine indicator species themselves, just like Hannah Lee, people who live and breathe the ocean and have more often than not a daily contact with our water. And plastic pollution is one of the issues that they care about most, and it's one of the issues that anyone using our coastline can't fail to see. Now, plastic is an extraordinary material. It's flexible, it's colourful, it's light, it's abundant, and it's almost indestructible. It's had an impact on every human industry and revolutionised the very way that we live. It's helped us explore all of our oceans, the deepest ocean trenches, the furthest gyres. It's helped us explore the tallest mountains on Earth, Mount Everest, where Lewis was doing his fateful swim, and even beyond our atmosphere through space travel. But plastic is also an extraordinary pollutant, flexible, colourful, light, abundant, and almost indestructible. The very properties that make it so useful also make it so problematic when it escapes into our environment. And the ocean can often be the final destination of that plastic waste, carried by winds, streams, rivers, and currents into oceanic whirlpools of plastic. Indeed, it seems increasingly unlikely that a plastic-free environment today truly exists on any part of planet ocean. As one of my heroes said, Jacques Cousteau, water and air, the two essential fluids on which all life depends, have become global garbage cans. However, plastic is also becoming an extraordinary unifier. The very properties which make it so useful and so problematic, its durability, its lightweight, its colourfulness, make it the pollutant that everyone can see, everyone can understand, and everyone can react to in their day-to-day lives. The millions of tons of plastic that enter our oceans every year are the same as the millions of tons of plastic that people interact with every day in our shops, in our restaurants, in our homes, in our offices. The tide line on most beaches usually has the same brand profile as any homogenized high street. Immediately recognizable to any of our beach clean volunteers, this jetsam is really just a warning sign of a failing linear economy, excessive packaging, unnecessary plastics, poor resource management, and a fragmented recycling and waste system. Scenes of beaches, cities, and wilderness choked with plastics have also generated a tidal wave of social action. Again, to quote Jacques Cousteau, the sea, the great unifier, is man's only hope. Now as never before, the old phrase has a literal meaning. We are all in the same boat. The ubiquitous nature of plastic pollution and its relevance to our daily lives is perhaps unique amongst the most ominous of pollutants in our times. Unlike carbon dioxide and other invisible toxins, we can all see it, touch it, and respond to it. As Lucy said, Surfers Against Sewage now collaborates with over 75,000 beach clean volunteers annually, now the biggest beach clean community in the UK. And we'll continue to tackle plastic pollution at the front line, where land and sea converge, interlocked by this swathe of plastic. However, we all know that we can't simply pick our way out of the problem. Back in 1990, when SAS started, we would never have advocated just mopping up sewage at the coastline. So whilst we're committed to removing and recycling as much plastic as we can from our beaches, every piece removed a victory in its own right, we have to focus on the upstream solutions to avoidable plastics. Our army of beach cleaners is being augmented on a new front in our towns, in our villages, in our cities through the Plastic Free Communities campaign. Now, Plastic Free Communities is a program designed to unite and empower people to reduce their collective plastic footprint. It's actually the only step-by-step community framework that brings together individuals with businesses, with local government, with other charities, with national government, to galvanise this action to reduce the plastic footprint in that area. And also, excitingly, in the So at the same time, we're seeing local economic and community regeneration. And the campaign's been a massive success since we started it just 11 months ago. We started it with the aim of having 125 communities working towards the status by 2020. In 11 months, we've got 326 communities working towards plastic-free status, both nationally and internationally. And when a community reaches this status, it means they've not only committed to eliminating certain single-use plastics, but more importantly, they've brought together the leaders in that community to make the decisions to incrementally decouple that town or city from throwaway plastics. After all, the majority of this plastic pollution we find on our beaches is avoidable and single-use or recyclable. Straws, stirrers, plastic bottles, plastic bags, disposable lighters, cotton bud sticks, all of the usual suspects in the tide line. They all have upstream solutions to prevent their presence in our oceans. This is what Plastic-Free Communities is designed to do. And the initial pilot program has reached thousands of people, 10,000 businesses, 6,500 community groups, 2,000 outside events, 100,000 school children. And the combined population reach represents over 26 million people, meaning the scope to create long-term change is one of the greatest in all of SAS's history. Imagine 26 million people starting to refuse throwaway plastics, an unstoppable movement pushing back at plastics, uniting communities globally to say no to plastics. So the time for continued action is now. And it's up to us all not to kick the proverbial plastic bottle down the street. We can all join a beach clean. We can all lead a plastic-free community. We can all reduce our personal plastic footprint. Government must, of course, legislate to make sure industry is then incentivized to reconsider its plastic footprint and stop the overuse, particularly of virgin plastics. Industry must use plastic-free policies as a market advantage, just like Richard. To respond to what we see, a global, growing community that demands this. A consumer revolt against unnecessary plastic pollution is already underway, and I urge businesses to continue with this meaningful response to the rapidly changing public opinion on plastics. We can't put the genie of plastic pollution back in the bottle, but together we can create plastic-free coastlines. Thank you very much.